All right. So I'm going to go to this slide right here, guys. And I'm going to hit present and just sort of talk you through a few things. So first of all, I'm going to have you take out your phones. All right? So if you could...
Morning, calculus!
Morning, Bloom! I'm recording though, Bloom.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey guys, how you doing at home?
Mr. Bloom
Nice to
says
see you.
hi, A group.
Am I loud enough?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
always.
You guys have a great day. Enjoy.
He's the best. He sent me a text at 2:30 in the morning. What's he doing? Wait, oh, I'm recording. Sorry. Forgot about that. 2:30 in the morning. Good Lord. Anyway, go ahead if you haven't yet. This was also in that email I sent you, but if you've already in there, don't do it again. But text at 39CBFG6. Can you see it from back there if you're trying to do it? Cam, can you see it?
Yeah.
See how I remembered your name already? I know, I have a photographic memory, sort of. So text at 39CBFG6 to 81010, and that'll put you in this Remind class. I don't like emails because you guys aren't really an email culture, so you'll check your phones, but usually not the email. So this is kind of how I get, sometimes I just text stupid stuff if I find something funny or whatever. So that's the first thing. I'm going to have you get into my Remind. I think we'll wait. Do you guys have your Chromebooks with you? Yeah, okay. We'll take those out in a little bit, but because we're going to get you in Delta Math. We're going to get you an AP Classroom. We're just going to get all registered for everything we need. And but first, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the class. There's not a whole lot on here. I don't really have rules. I'm not going to talk about the grading system yet because I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do with that with this weird year here. So that's going to be on hold. But it didn't work. My glasses are still fogging up. Here, let's take them off. So it says, welcome to AP Calculus. Only cried 10 times. That's actually not true. Usually you'll get one anxious girl who cries sometimes, but usually we don't cry in here. It's pretty easy. All right, so this is the deal with this class, the most important thing. And if any of you have watched the flip grids from advice from last year's kids, first of all, they were all successful, the ones who made it to the end, every single one of them. We had a 100% passing rate on the AP test. They will all tell you that they hit that somewhere along the way, that struggle somewhere. But the ones who made it to the end, they worked their way through it. So it's not going to be like your other math classes where you've done a lot of it before. You know how you like slope of a line, you did it in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, all that stuff. It starts off new here just in a couple days with limits, and then every single day is something new. So where you struggle will be different for all of you. So the topics are so different. So you might be really great at related rates, you might hate them. And then you might be really good at graph analysis, but he can't do it. And then there's all these different topics, and you're going to have a favorite, and it'll be different for all of you. So it's not like your usual math class. It's required for, so if you, by the way, if you're not willing to go through that struggle and you don't need it, I wouldn't take it. All right? And it's not a constant struggle either. Most kids, if you were to ask them, I don't know if you have any friends who are in calculus, but most will say that calculus is easier than pre-calc. So that should give you a little ease, both in content and in the amount of homework. Does that make sense? So that should make you feel a little better. It's just sometimes in some units, when it gets hard for you, it'll get really hard, and you need to work your way through it. There's usually 3 types of people who take this class. I was just on a podcast for women in STEM. I was the M. So if you want to view it, it's called Ordinarily Extraordinary or something like that. But I was the M for the math part, and they were asking me about like what type of kids I see and hear at the high level, because it's actually about women in engineering, to be honest. And I do have a chunk that take it because they know they want to be engineers. You might be one of those people. Those people require a lot of math, and you had to get through Calc 4, and sometimes if you don't get an A in here, I say to retake this for the engineers in college. That's what I'd say, because calculus is the workhorse of engineering. Then I have like the pre-med kind of economics. Any of you thinking of going that route? You are? Maybe, like if it's on your radar, that requires just the 2 years. So if you're a junior, you can get that taken care of before you leave high school, which is really nice. So some of those other high level degrees require the first 2 years of calculus. And then I sometimes have people who just take it because it's the next thing. Those are the people who aren't usually willing to go through that struggle, and they'll drop at the semester. You're just like, I took pre-calc, I'll take calc, and I'm gonna, which is fine. But you better really like math then, because the math is really cool in here. Anyway, so just be willing to get through that struggle and you will succeed. This is where I said, it goes AP Chem. The most accredited is Calc 1, then Calc 2, ABBC, Chemistry, Bio, and then English. So those are, colleges give the most credit for those. So here's a girl who I had her a couple years ago, and her name was Alexandra, Alex. And she had her heart set on majoring in chemistry. She wanted to do like some sort of biochem research or something like that. And she was in my Calc 1. And I know I'm just talking at you, but today is kind of about just getting a feel for the class. As a junior, she took Calc 1. She worked her way through her struggles to get a B. She didn't love math, but she needed it for what she did love to do. Does that make sense? And then as a senior, she started off in Calc BC, and she came to me, she said, I'm going to drop. And I said, well, Alex, what do you want to do next year? She goes, well, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go into biochem research or something like that. And I said, well, get through the struggle here. Otherwise, you're going to have to go back and take Calc 1 again because you're going to have all this time off of math. And she's like, yeah, but it's my senior year, and I want early release. You know how it is, right? And I said, I wouldn't do it, Alex. I would make it through the struggle and just get yourself your math credit. She did not love math, and she did not love calculus. But if you can read what she said, I am planning on majoring in chemistry, and I only had to go up through Calc 2, so I'm completely done with math. She didn't love it, right? And I had to talk her through her struggle, both in A, B, and BC, and she's like, it's killing my GPA, and I'm like, you're getting a B. Nobody cares about, once you get out of here, to be honest, nobody cares about your GPA. So if you're like, I have to have a 4.0, the minute you are out of high school and off to college, no one's going to know and no one's going to care. So that B for her, if you read what it got her, she said, I'm so happy that I stuck with such a high math when I didn't think I was going to be able to keep up, because it really did help. She got 16 math credits. That's thousands of dollars is what Winona gave her, thousands of dollars. And she didn't have to take it again. So my point is, getting through that struggle for some of you, do it, and do it with grace. And don't have it be your first right here, like you, Alex. If you're like, oh, we just hit implicit differentiation, now I'm going to drop. I'll probably try to talk you out of it, unless you just truly know you don't need it. Make sure you watch some of the flip grids, okay? Because they give you some really good advice in there. How many of you have watched some of those? You did already? Oh, most of you, great. And those of you at home, I'll show you where they're linked, but make sure you watch some of your peers giving you guys advice, because they give some really good advice, and they're really cool kids. I had a really cool bunch last year. I always do, but last year's was the hardest working group I've ever had. I mean, they made it through that distance learning. Like, they were great. Anyway, back to my glasses. I think what I want us to do next, can you guys take out your Chromebooks? We're going to go take a look at Schoology. We're going to go get signed into some stuff. And I would even love to get to some math today, to be honest. Just some. I'm going to switch masks here. Because my glasses are fogging up. All right, so go to my Schoology course. And we're going to take a look at what's in there. And then I'll take some questions from you guys too. I feel bad just talking at you. You feel free to stop me anytime you have a question. All right, so let me know if you could just pop up a hand when you're in. Oh, wait. Or actually, yeah. I'm gonna wait for you guys to get in. I got 4 being. Uh-oh. Just kidding. All right. So my hope is, again, I usually what I have is like kind of like the whole year on a slide, but I have a feeling that we're going to have to sort of monitor and adjust as we go. So I'm going to do it week by week at first. I am not a big Schoology user. I know how to. I prefer to be in the Google system. So it won't be like these working. Did you guys have like folders you had to work through last year? That's not how I run it, because what happened, remember at the beginning at distance learning last year, the Schoology was down? And for AP, that test doesn't move. And so what happened was, first of all, we live in Minnesota, so we start a month behind most people in the world. Like I'm in a Facebook group for like globally for people who teach AP calculus, and they're like, when are you guys giving your derivatives test? I'm like, derivatives? I haven't even started school yet. So like we are behind before we even start. And then once we went to distance learning, I don't know if you remember in March, but we had a full 2 weeks off. Do you remember that? We weren't allowed to assign anything per the state guidelines. So those kids had to take another full 2 weeks off. Anyway, and then when we were able to start, Schoology was down. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I left Schoology and I went to Google, and the kids said they liked it better. So if you guys don't, I mean, I can do the folders. We'll kind of like maybe next week say, would you prefer to be in a folder? But last year when I said, when Schoology was good, and I said, should we go back to they said, no, I want to be on the Google. And I'll show you what I do on that Google slide. So you won't see a whole bunch of stuff in here. All it says is daily schedule with all necessary links. And so I'm going to click on that. And you guys can too if you'd like to. I'll blow it up. It's that one we were just on. But everything underlined will be linked for you. So it always will tell you what you need to do. All right. So your B-Day, we're being recorded live. Well, we were until I took my headset. Oh, no, it's back on. Okay. Anyway, and then A and DL, I'm going to link this video. So you'll be doing tomorrow. Let's just go take a look at tomorrow. So for you guys tomorrow, why isn't it turning the page? Oh, there we go. So there's going to be a handout, and it's linked. So you can either print it off at home, or if you want to grab it before you leave, that's fine. I have all the stuff for the whole first chapter over here. So you can do what you want. If you want to print it, that's fine. But everything underlined is a link. So you guys are B group. You're going to be watching just a very short amount of notes on the unit circle, because those of you who have filled out this Google form from yesterday, I asked you what would you like a little bit more instruction on in the unit circle 1. All right, so we're just going to go over a little bit of the unit circle, and then all groups are going to watch notes on can change occur at an instant. That's what calculus is primarily about, to be honest, is what's called instantaneous rates of change. What's happening right now in this chemical reaction, what's happening right now when this water tower is leaking for a civil engineer. And then the keys are almost always linked. Again, raise your hand. How many of you guys watch the Flipgrid videos? What was their big advice? Almost every kid, what did they say about the keys? Don't copy them. Yeah. And people were honest last year, but I remember going up to one kid, he's actually a senior right now. And I said, I think you're copying the keys. He goes, yeah, I am. And I said, have at it, photo math, have at it. I'm not like the homework police, and your homework doesn't count for hardly any of your grade anyway. So don't get upset if you're like, oh, I didn't finish it. It's going to be late. It's okay. Just take a 0 on it, and I always have extra stuff you can do to make that up. Does that make sense? So if you're really worried about the grade, you'll notice in some of those flip grids, kids that just do the extra. The extra is always math, and it's usually worse math than the original assignment. But it always is for learning it, not task completion. You're going to hear me say that a lot. I'll say do it to learn it, don't do it to complete the task. All right? So anyway, and I'm already getting a good vibe from you guys. So this is how we work. We'll always have a to-do column. Everything will be linked, and we'll always have it to turn in. They don't want us dealing with papers going back and forth. So you will be usually filling out Google forms. All right? So you'll get used to it. If you have any questions, and usually I'll tell you what you're going to be submitting. So you'll be submitting pictures of your completed 1-1. Any questions on that? because it's a different system. And the kids liked it last year. It wasn't like a folder with all these, and it keeps you, I think, not just clicking on the notes, but actually watching them because I ask you to submit them. All right. So that's kind of what happens on a daily basis in here. I'm going to go back and we are going to now go to Delta Math. Also in those flip grids, you'll hear that kids said they liked that stuff was different every day. Do you remember a lot of kids saying that? I'm going to try to keep that going because that's usually, kids like it. It's really hard with this system. But sometimes we'll do a worksheet, sometimes we'll do Delta Math. BC's doing a quizzes tomorrow, like a competition. I try to keep it somewhat interesting. So you're not like, notes, worksheet, notes, worksheet. But sometimes we have to do that. But Delta Math is, we use it maybe, I don't know, a couple times a chapter. So what I want you to do is go to Delta Math. Have you used it before? I think Bloom might have used it. Who used it? Yep, go ahead and tell me which teacher. You guys can talk. You don't remember? Okay. So go into Delta Math, and you're going to sign in as a student. It's going to ask you to register because you're going to be creating an account. So I got to see what you can see on your end. I can't do it on my computer because I already have a teacher account. So if I go there, it's going to log me in. All right. So, oh, you're already in. Are you in my class already? Oh, well, then I guess you don't need any help. But it's going to ask you to create an account. Or if you already have an account, there's going to be an option for you to add a class. I think it's under tools. Go try that, tools. Did you already have an account somewhere? Yeah, so manage login and courses under tools. Those of you who already have accounts, and you're going to add a class. Be careful you don't add yourself to the BC class though. So it'll say, there should be a, what did I title it? I made it like middle of the summer, AB1 or something like that. 2020 AB1 is you guys. So get yourselves in there. You might want to bookmark that. Freeze. Anyone not in Delta yet? You're on your phone. That'd be hard to log in on there. Did you get in, hon? Yep. All right. Do I have anything in there right now? Did I sign anything yet? Okay, yep, and it's just 3 problems. The beauty with Delta Math is if you can get, like, if you were like, get this, the notes tomorrow, it'll be like 1, 2, 3 and done. Or if you are like red X, red X, red X, red X, and then go watch the video. So you kind of are in control of how long it takes you. Kids liked that last year because sometimes doing a worksheet with 30 problems on it when you can be done in 3 is kind of nice. So you'll have a love-hate relationship with Delta Math based on how well you know the topic at the time. If you're like, I got this, you're going to love it. Okay, so there's the Delta Math. Now next is AP Classroom. So we're going to sign into that. We're also in here quite a bit. How many of you, is this your first AP class? Ever? Okay, so in all your AP classes, they're going to have you sign into AP Classroom. You have to be in it. It's where you, it's the only way you can get an exam. Like, you have to be in here. So you go to My AP. I can see you guys popping in on the top. My AP, I can't read it on the bottom there. myap.collegeboard.org. Okay. And you are going to add yourself to this section. It should be pretty self-explanatory. We take tests in here sometimes too. So we'll have assignments in AP Classroom. We'll test in there sometimes. Was that easy to figure out too? You guys are my first hour, so. And again, I can't log in and do this because I have a teacher account, so it'll send me. Was it easy to figure out? Yeah. Okay. So I'll wait till you're all in there. Quinn, is it easy to figure out? Yep. All right. Nothing should be in there right now. It takes us a while. Anyone not figure it out? What's your name back here again? You are Shunk. Max. Do I have Erin again this year? Is she? Did she? She was a senior last year. All right, so we're all in. Those of you at home should be doing the same thing, so just pause the video. You should be getting all registered today. Let me see how much time. Oh, good, we have some time. I'm going to be able to get to a math topic. All right, so I have to go back to my schedule. Anyone not in AP Classroom yet? Is it just because your phone's slow?
Yeah, but I'm just working through.
Okay, and if ever you miss it, like just remember this is all linked in Schoology. So if ever like that happen, I'm gonna move on without you. Okay, just maybe write that code down. All right, so let's go back here. So we're all in Remind, we're all in Delta Math, we're all in AP Classroom. So the next thing is, how many of you have already done this Google form? Raise your hands. 1, 2, all but almost all of you. Excellent. If you're at home and you haven't done this yet, you need to do the Are You Ready packet. If you're like, what's that? I attached it in an email, but it's also on this last slide here. So this is what I sent home for before school starts. If you're at home, everybody in here said they did it already. So, but those of you at home in the A group, make sure you watch this video. It's just a little 5-minute intro from me. Then there's some notes. You may or may not need to watch them. Did any of you guys watch them? Just kind of depends. You know, you can skip over the notes if you remember everything. You'll know if you remember everything while you're doing the packet if you don't have to look at the key much. If you're looking at the key for everything, go back and watch the notes. And then this is the most important thing, those of you at home today in A group. Watch some, definitely not all. I think there's like 70 video clips, but the kids from last year I had at the end give you guys some advice, and I would definitely watch some of those. And when all that's done, you're going to go fill out this Google form. It's due tomorrow. So if you ignored these directions over the summer or this last couple weeks, that's totally fine. You'll get full credit if I get it tomorrow, but it takes about, how long did it take you guys? Hour and a half? What do you think? Shorter than that? Wow. Okay, so anywhere from a half hour to an hour and a half it'll take you. I need that turned in by tomorrow. And I'm going to keep with the not accepting late work, because if you watch some of these videos, the kids actually thought that was a positive thing. Did you guys notice that? Not one of them said it was a negative. I never had a student or parent complain about it. So I'm going to stick with it. If it becomes hard for us to manage, I'll totally monitor that and maybe say, well, and a lot of times when the assignments are big, the due date's out a ways anyway. So did you hear any of them talk about the big packets? Sometimes you'll get one on the first day of the chapter that's not due for 3 weeks. So, but some kids would wait until the day before, and they were advising you guys, don't do that. Like they said, that was not a good choice on my part. All right, so those of you at home, make sure you work through this, and what's due tomorrow is this Google form filled out. What else was I going to say? I think we are going to do a tiny little bit of math, if you guys don't mind, because I skipped over this year with school starting so late. I usually have a unit 0, and in that unit 0 I cover 5 algebra topics. I'm skipping over that this year, and I'm going to do them if I need to as they pop up. But because right in the first chapter we deal with a lot of piecewise functions, we are going to take just a tiny bit of notes on piecewise functions. So I'm going to give you guys, this isn't in a note packet. I'm going to give you just a blank sheet of paper. Why don't you come up and grab one, because I'm not supposed to hand stuff out to you guys. If you need a sheet of paper, come up and grab one. If you just want to watch, that's fine too, but I'm going to have you do one of these on your own before we go today. So normally, like I said, I cover 5 algebra topics. Piecewise functions show up everywhere in this class. Because, you can kind of guess why. again, in those Flipgrid videos that a lot of kids said they liked it because it was real world math. In the real world, things do change, right? What do you think is on the x-axis for us usually instead of x? What's always changing? Time. Yeah. Now, this first chapter, it's going to be on what's called limits. And they're the least exciting, but the most necessary to do the exciting stuff. So we do have to cover it. So in our first chapter, it will usually be x and f of x. But as the year goes on, x becomes t. And the function becomes something that changes over time. Lots of things change over time. So we're going to go through this first one together. You will not usually need to graph your piecewise functions, but you need to understand how to read piecewise. So if I were to ask you right now, what is the domain of f? Do you know what I'm asking you for? What's the domain of f? Almost. 0 to what? Take a look over at the piecewise function. Where did I chop my x's off at? Almost, for the first piece. 9. Yeah, now, take a look. 4 isn't in the domain. Do you see why? Right? So, normally you would say that f of 4 is undefined in pre-calc, right? You're nodding, awesome. We say f of 4 doesn't exist. And here our undefined from pre-calc and algebra 2 becomes dne, right? It does not exist. But my domain would actually be from 0 to 9, excluding 4. And we're going to use interval notation. So we're going to say our domain is 0 with what I call a beefy bracket, because 0 is included, to 4 with what I call a wimpy bracket. Union, wimpy, to 9, beefy. Any questions on that? It's new notation for an old topic of domain, right? All right, so that's my domain. That's what can go into the function. Right here, do you know what this function makes? It's very important. You should know about 12 parent functions, and that's one of them. What will that make when I graph it? Yeah, it's a linear function. Super easy, right? And to graph a line, how many points do you need? 2, if you want to. Or you could get by with 1 if you knew the slope. So you do you, boo, right? Just get the darn line on there, right? I'm so proud of myself I didn't swear. I almost did, but I didn't. You'll notice that I kind of like Mr. Cross. It might come out every once in a while. And I apologize in advance, but I caught that when I said done. All right, so let's go. I think I'm just going to do the 2 points. I think I'll just start on my domain at 0, and I will graph 0, 6, right? Or if you want to do, hey, that's the slope intercept, whatever. And then I think I'll put a 4 in there. And I think I'll just do a half of 4, and I'd be at 4, 8. Agreed? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 8 would be kind of, I guess I have it up. Now I left it open, correct? So, or you could have said, well, I'm going to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. It doesn't really matter. But what's wrong with mine? What did I do? Yes.
It doesn't fit the domain.
Right, and that's super important when you hear it. Sometimes you'll say, well, why is this one wrong? I'll say you left the domain. You're only doing this for the first 3 hours, not for an infinite or something like that. So we gotta be very careful we don't leave the domain. So then I have what I call a fence at 4, right? So I'm gonna hop in here, and you guys need to know what that looks like as well. What will that make? What do you think? You know? When I,
So value graph,
yeah, what does it look like?
a V.
It does. It's actually not a V. It looks like a V. And I asked you, what does it look like? It's actually 2 lines that get pieced together. That's why it's actually a piecewise function. But it's 2 lines that get pieced together. It looks like a V. Will this guy be a V that opens up or down? Down. Because of the negative. See what I mean? What's the most important part of the so-called V? The vertex. So would that be like something I might really want to graph, right? So get those important things on there. If it's a parabola or a V, as you call it, we want to get the vertex on there. Do you remember how to get the vertex? See, I'm assuming you'll remember this if I just talk. Like, I'm not going to give you homework on this. Do you see why homework's less? You're all nodding. Why would I make you go grab 10 of them? But if you're faking it, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I get it. I don't, but he doesn't. It'll catch up with him. So here you go. So what is the vertex? Do you guys remember? Yep. How do you know that?
So it's the x minus 6, so it's 6 to the right, and the plus times 10.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. 610. So let's go graph 610 is its vertex, correct? So 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and up to 10. I'm just going to pretend I'm going to put this on here. I should have actually had a graph that actually fit on the graph. Now, I would argue that that's pretty much all you need, but you might want one other point. Actually, you might want to kind of look at 2 points. What other 2 might be kind of important? What do you think, Fromby? Is that your last name? Is that right?
Yeah.
See? It's not just a hat rack, kids.
Other 2 points.
Yeah. What other 2 points might I want to plot on my V? I know it's going to open down from that black dot up there.
Great.
But-
The point 4 and 9.
Yes. Yep. Make sure you hop on the fences so you know. A lot of times we just assume this will meet. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's going to be discussed in our first chapter. It'll be called a discontinuous function. So let's go plug in a 4. You guys did the arithmetic. If I plug in a 4, what do I get? Oh. Plug in a 4, what do I get? Say it louder.
8.
8. Thank you. All right. So 4, 8. Well, that's where this one was. All right. So that did meet up. And then I plug in a 9 and check out what happens at 9. It looks like I will get -3 plus 9, 7. It looks like I'll have. So I'm just going to go like that. And I will close it. There's my piecewise function. Now, if I were to ask you, is it continuous? Does your gut tell you what I'm asking you? What do you think? What would your gut say if I said, is that a continuous function? And you're shaking your head because continuity is a huge thing in calculus, but it's really loosely if you don't lift your pencil. There's going to be a 3-part definition in the first chapter, but in calculus makes sense. All right, so even though we have this 3-part definition, you don't even need to actually, we're not going to deal with that. That's discontinuous. Does that make sense? I want you to try that in the next one. You should look at that though, and I'm assuming you guys know it's a line and a what? Parabola. The parabola opens down. Sorry, my new favorite. All right. Period 6 doesn't have a chance. Just kidding. All right. So if those of you at home, they did say they knew it was a line that was going to be going downhill, left to right, and they did say they knew it was a parabola that's opening down. So get the key points on. Don't leave the domain. Isn't this fun? You're not even, yay, back to school. So I'm just going to sort of have you guys self-assess. Hopefully you have a line. I would just do these 2 points. I think that's easier than the slope because you'd have to slope it to the other point anyway. So I would just put those 2 in, plug and shove, plot them. Make sure you didn't go past -2 on the x-axis because the domain is chopped off. Make sure you leave it open at 1. Self-check yourselves. Did I give you guys enough time? All right, let's talk about the parabola. I said get key points on there. What do you think the most important part on the parabola is? What must I have on there? We're testing this in pre-calculus. like I said, you won't be drawing these graphs. You're going to be primarily needing to understand them. And actually, usually the graph won't be given. We'll be talking about, even in a few days, we're going to say, is this continuous? And when you draw it, you'll see it, but we'll kind of take the graph away in a little bit. So we should have had a line going downhill, right? A parabola opening down from where? Where does your parabola open down from? Where's its vertex? How about you? Do you remember how to get the vertex of the parabola? Where do you think it is? What's your name again? What? Oh, I should have ran. Ryan, what's the vertex?
I have one.
Vertex of the parabola. Oh, that's a point on it.
Oh.
That wouldn't be the vertex though. What's the vertex called?
0, 3.
Okay, close.
0, 3, 0.
There we go. Thanks, Cam. See, so now we'll just discuss that because it seems like we forgot the parabola, so no problem. But remember, this guy is its parent function, correct? It opens up from 0, 0. This is going to open down, shift it 3 to the right, right? So what's the vertex for sure? 3, 0. All right. So, and it will open down from there. And you do want to have that one -4 on there. So let's go graph it, all right? So when you put in the -2, what'd you get out, Quinn? What point did you graph? -2 what?
-2, 4.
-2, 3. There, done. And I closed it. And when you put in a 1, it looks like we're going to have 1, -3, correct? So 1, -3, I'm going to leave that open. You could have gone down 2, over 1, down 2, over 1, down 2, over 1, but you have to walk yourself through the domain if you're going to do the slope. You're nodding. There's, oh, well, pretend I didn't sway over there. Should be straighter, but I'm not going to fix it. All right, and then you told me that this parabola opens down from 3, 0. So here's 1, 2, 3, 0. That's an important piece. And then be very careful that you don't just zip it on through, right, Fromby? I need to check what happens at 1. And you said it before, didn't you? You said 1, -4, correct? Somebody said they thought that was the vertex. So 1, -4 is right here. How are you doing? Oh, yes. 1, -4 is right here. Thank you for paying attention. Now, the parabola opens down, so you can, I mean, I'm fine with you just going like that. Why do you think I put an arrow on the right-hand side of it? Because the domain isn't chopped off on the right. It says for all x is greater than or equal to 1. Now, if I were to ask you if this function's continuous, what do you think you'd say? Yes or no? What's your gut tell you? It's not, right? They're shaking, those of you at home, they're shaking their heads no. And again, it's because you have to lift your pencil, but let's talk about when we talk about continuity later, next week. What mathematically caused you to lift your pencil? Look at where, and think about what's going to have to happen when we take the graph away. Just kind of think about that. The issue is right there for continuity, correct? What do you think would have to happen for a function, piecewise function, to be continuous? The issue is at this boundary where the two of them meet, right? So the issue is at 1. What do you think is going to have to happen at 1 for it to be continuous? That one's not. Because when I put 1 into the top function, we got -4, right? They're nodding, people at home. When I put 1 into the bottom function, I'm sorry, we got -3. When I put it into the bottom function, we got -4. What do you think is going to have to happen for it to be continuous mathematically? They're going to have to be what? The same. Okay? So think about it, and you're nodding. You're like, oh yeah, well here you can see it, right? But for any goofy function, now watch. before you go graph this one, it'll be our last. Actually, I think we'll be done. I think you got it. We'll just chill for just a second, but watch. If I were to ask you, is this continuous at 1? And you're like, well, I can't see it. Watch. You're going to go right here. You're going to go right here, and you say, well, there is a closed dot there. Right, Glenn? Now, had this been just like this, guess what you can immediately say? It's not. Because nothing, you're going to have to hop over an open hole in the graph, right? So, this passed my first, okay, well, at least it exists there. What do you think I will check? And again, you're already doing calculus, that's coming next week. I'm not going to look at the graph, but what do you think I'm going to do with that 1 to see if this function is continuous at 1? Plug it in. Just visually. Go to the top, plug in a 1, and you're at 0. Go to this one, plug in a 1, and where are you? Those match up, open dot. We're continuous at 1. Does that make sense? Now check if it's continuous at 4. By the way, what's this bottom function when it just says f of x equals 9? Remember, think f of x is y. It's a horizontal line, right? Meeting up with a parabola that opens up. You should be able to get a visual, right? Will it be continuous there? Yeah. Let's go check. Put it in the top one. 4 minus 1 is 3, squared is 9. I'll end that parabola up at 4, 9, right? So it's vertex. Oh, hey, good question. Where's its vertex? Just make sure you don't have to give homework. 1, 0. See what I mean? It's not necessary for me to make you graph 20 of these. This is how we work in here, okay? If it's necessary, like the kids, if you watch those flip grids, they'll say, if the root gives you homework, it's for a purpose, right? If you need a lot of it, I'll give you a lot of it. It's for a purpose. It's to learn it, not to complete a task. You don't need to complete a task. At least these 10, hopefully at home you don't either. They said the vertex is at 1, 0. It opens up, and we said it ends up at 4, 9 up here. So it goes like this. It would have been open for the parabola, but that line, would have closed it up and gone that way. See what I mean? So you just learned a little bit about continuity and a little bit review of piecewise function. So we're done. All right, so we have 6 minutes. My question for you is, what's your homework? Nope. There's no Delta Math today. Nope. There's just the Google form. How many of you already did it? If you already did it, you have no homework. Okay? If you didn't, do it. You just raise your hand because you don't want to be the only one. Yep.
Do you get, like, what's your policy of people trying to get, like, ahead? Like, if we do the Delta Math, right?
Don't do it out of order.
Okay.
So if you do want to get ahead, like if you're like, well, then I'll have tomorrow free, or whatever, make sure you do it in order. In the what to do column, do it all before you do the what to turn in. So yeah, I guess I never thought of that. A group at home, they're asking me is because they are all done, can they do it tonight, tomorrow's assignment? The answer is yes. Just make sure you do the entire thing. So those of you who are in the room, I think I'll give you the opportunity if you want to take, let's see. I don't know if I did copy that note sheet up. I didn't. So I lied. You're going to have to just do it from home, the 1-1. Sorry, off the Google Docs. So let's go take a look. Because it's a note sheet. I'll show you. Good thing we're done. Any other questions? That was just kind of quick, but yes.
Will we be getting a textbook?
No, it's when we use one, I have it linked.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, and I'm going to go back to Schoology just so you can. I'm going to do a don't save. I'm going to go back. Oh, my glasses are fogging up. Oops, I forgot I'm recording. Sorry, guys, I yelled in your ear. I want to go back to the week 1. A couple questions pop up here. Go all the way back. All right, so do you see this course documents and links? He asked me about if we're getting a book. This says our book. So we do have a book. They're back there. I'm not going to pass them out. It's online. This is stuff we just use all year when we need to. So no need to look into there. But let's talk about these guys when they leave here. So those of you at home, just for this first time, let's go take a look. You should have signed up for my Remind. You should come in tomorrow, signed up for Delta Math. You should be in AP Classroom. Right now I'm talking to the A group. B group was recorded live, and that video is going to be linked here in about as soon as these chumps leave. Okay, your assignment is to finish the Are You Ready packet. You shouldn't be asking me where it is. I already told you, but it's just move forward in the slideshow and you'll see it. To turn in this Google form. All right, now let's go look at tomorrow's. I don't know why it's being so weird here. Okay, so tomorrow, these guys who are in here are going to, do you guys have printers at home? If you don't, I will normally have hard copies you can grab, but this is what you'll print off and you'll watch a video of me going through it. Okay? See you later. Have a good one. Nice to meet you. It did go